What's up, y'all? Thank you for stopping by my channel, Esteemed Queen Mentality. Be sure that you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell down below. Remember on Thursday, February the 4th, we will have our first dream webinar. If you're interested in that webinar, simply join our warrior community over at Patreon and you will have immediate access to the manual that we will be using on that Thursday, 6:30, February 4th. I think that's the same day that we have our Tea Talk book club meeting, but nonetheless, we will have a lot going on in the building. So be sure that you go over to the warrior community. Go ahead and join us fellow tea talkers, so that way you get to know when we have all of our interactions, meet other fellow tea talkers, so on and so forth. So once again, shouts out to the warrior community. Y'all be coming with these questions. I guess quarantine has us thinking about things, but it's cool. I received a question from a fellow tea talker in regards to being able to manage when someone else is trying to snatch their attention. And I know this can be a hard thing to talk about, only because look, not everybody handles conflict the same way. So it can make it very hard to talk about this. It can make it very hard to be a topic where everyone agrees to. So the enlightenment that I gave her was simply from a time frame in a situation that I had to go through personally in order for me to be able to kind of just figure out where my footing is. You know, everyone always says, you know, be the bigger person. Don't stoop to their level. They're just insecure. Nonetheless, all of those things are right. All those things are correct. But what I pretty much made as a main idea for her was how I interpret someone being envious, because that's really what she was talking about. It's just like, how do you deal with jealous people? How do you deal with envious people? How do you deal with conniving people? How do you deal with deceitful people? How do you tolerate them being in the same circumference of where you walk, talk, and etc.? To be quite honest, it's hard to process how someone else feels about that, depending on the degree of chastisement they receive. You know, bullying is at an all-time high at one point. I really think that the quarantine, believe it or not, has brought it down to an ultimate low, because a lot of the kids, they're trying to learn and do everything from home. So there's less of a probability of their children being bullied without an adult catching it. You feel me? So, you know, Jesus Christ, we've gone from bullying to obesity. Just think about it. We're sitting at home, we eat, and we all gain that good old freshman 15. So nonetheless, you know, it's just more or less of a thing of how do you tolerate, how do you deal, and how are you able to move forth. And this is what I told her. I've done a ton of videos, maybe not a ton, I'm over exaggerating, but maybe I've done a couple videos about how to deal with bullying. I've called them in the past to be negative cheerleaders. I mean, they egg you on. However, they're just coming from a thumb-sized place in their heart where they wish they could be you or have your charisma, whatever. Either way you look at it, they don't have it, so now they're mad that someone else got it. Boom. That's why they're in that position. That's why they have that type of title, because they deserve it. Anytime you're mad at me but you got the same 24 hours, I don't know what to tell you. Even with that being said, I told her, like, outside of that, you still have to understand, one, there's boundaries. So don't let this person's negativity cross you. At the same time, you can't be someone else's example if you're not, or you know that person's not going to tolerate them being an example for you. It has to work both ways. So I gave her a story time. of a time where I felt that same wrath. And it was very interesting because if you were part of the conversation, the Tea Talk a couple weeks back, or maybe a couple of videos back, in regards to my 24 hours is the same as someone else's, that same neighborhood that I used to reside in was probably not the neighborhood you would think someone like me will stay. You feel me? But like I said in another video, sometimes you have to be willing to take a setback to be able to propel yourself forward. And that was one of those times. That was one of those stages and eras where I was willing to make that decision to become a bigger and better person, a bigger and better brand. Now, with me having my interpretation as to where I was in, the trenches of trying to figure out what stability was for me, this whole other person had no idea who I was. Like anybody else that's new coming into a neighborhood, right? They're going to get the attention. People going to be trying to see what's going on. They going to try to see what they have. All of that. Them and the crackheads, they all going to want to know. So with that being said, for me, I'm more of a person that's an introvert. I like to stay to myself, be to myself, because I just like to be by myself. So as time went on, this in particular person decides that because the people I was attracting to me was the same people she was used to being around, she felt threatened by that. And she felt threatened not because I talked about her, not because I dragged her, not because I said anything negative about her, but just for the fact of she was no longer the center of attention. Some people are really who they are, and then some people are really there just to see what they can attract out of other people. I'm more of the person in the first category. I'm just, I'm who I am. I'm tomboyish. I love ball. I love to play basketball. But I love to cook and so on and so forth. And when you find that you're a person that's well-rounded and you're comfortable with yourself, that will irritate somebody else and their insecurities if they're not complete in who they are. It's not my responsibility to define who you want to be. It's all for me to set a perfect, or at least a mindful, an example of what it is I want to be portrayed as. So this person, not knowing me from a chicken burrito, decides to haul off, and all of a sudden the inner rage they had boiled over. And I mean, it boiled over to a point in place where this person was assuming that they were violating certain boundaries and pushing certain buttons, all for me to realize exactly what I've always known and had intuition about. You can't be acceptive of everybody. You just got to be acceptive of their walking. Just because you're coming down the street, that don't mean we got to walk down on the same side. I can cross the street going right on by my business. And this person did not like that because they were agitated about the fact that I could have a whole block party and this person could not even be on my mind to send an invitation to. But because they feel so entitled of being in a clique of friends and of people that are accustomed to their actions and behaviors, and someone else that's new in the neighborhood comes and takes their attention off of them, they feel some type of way, not knowing what that person's intentions are there for. So all the while, mind you, this is someone that doesn't know what you do, doesn't care. You don't know someone from a can of paint, but there's an issue. So as time went on, that's exactly what happened. Time went on. I didn't pay this person any mind. I didn't care to know what their issue was. I didn't want to even think about this person being someone near or around me that I would care about hearing what their sound off is about me. Especially when I don't know them, but you can tell from their circumstances and their situations compared to how structured I am. There's a ton of reasons as to why someone would try to throw rocks and they don't even have they don't even have a house to hide in, behind, you name it, not even a box. And so I had to enlighten her, because as much as this person, as much as I'm a more of a person, when I meet you, I'm quick to give you a compliment. Not because I need you to feel some type of way towards me, but because I don't care nothing so much about you to 100% to make you feel as if you threaten me in any regard. That's not for me to come off to be conceited. That's not me coming off trying to be nonchalant. But that's just me knowing what my purpose is. If you trust time and season, trust me, you have no reason to be jealous of anybody. If you believe in yourself as much as you believe in the delusion that someone else has an issue with you, but yet this person doesn't even know your last name, who's really in the right and wrong mind frame here? So I told her that's the same thing as if you were to apply it to a situation, being that someone's trying to throw you off your game. There's going to be times in life where you're going to have people that are going to oppose to your position of wherever it is you're supposed to be on their map, even though they don't realize that regardless if you are on their map or you are on yours, each one is supposed to teach y'all individual lessons. Where people get shit crossed up at is when they assume that just because they come across your path and vice versa, you're supposed to be the person that ultimately they're supposed to teach you a lesson. Okay, I get it. You may teach me a lesson of paying people who have pigeon and crow minded mentalities no mind, which we absolutely are going to do regardless, because queens don't worry about birds. At the same time, if I was supposed to be a person that comes across your path, it's up to you to learn something from it. So like I told her, if it's a thing of it being this person's intimidated by you, the easiest way for someone to sound off is to sound quickly. The get up and the gag about this that will shut court all the way down is the fact of people don't understand the fact of at some point in time you are either the opening act or the encore in somebody else's life. They don't understand the fact of you being unnecessarily negative towards me or towards someone else. That's just you being upset because your time is more concentrated and pressed than mine is, because clearly you want the attention, whereas I receive the attention. You have to think like that when it comes down to people who have negativity and they have they just so opposed as to what it is that you have going on. You know, someone being optimistic is completely poisonous to someone who is pessimistic. If someone's easier, you know, if they're more at ease living life, feeling as if like it's better being on a downward spiral than it is for them to try to elevate, this is a person who is not excited, let alone they don't have anything that they're willing to settle for that they don't know. That's a huge red flag. I did a video about that. Anytime someone does not get excited, my thing is this: if you can get excited to go on a lunch break, you can be excited for the unknown. Half the time, we don't even know what we want for lunch. We don't even know what we want for dinner. We make shit up as we go. So if you can be excited for something that small, imagine how small it is for you just to think that outside of the box, you can get something done. Just as much as it only takes a mustard seed for you to be able to plant some faith. But yet, these people who are just as small-minded as a mustard seed comes and decides to think they have influence on which way the wind circles in your storm. No, hell no. If I make mistakes, it's because it's on my own turf. It's because of my own my own actions. It's not going to be because someone who don't know me from, 6 degrees separate from society, what it is, how it is that I am. Fuck them and their opinion. And that's exactly what I told her. So, not only did I tell her that, but I also told her, look, if you open up your door and everything is yours on the inside, or you're attempting to make it all yours on the inside, and this person cannot come across the table and match the same shit, you having a dilemma with a child. And there is no reason why I should be arguing with someone who lives not by themselves, but somewhere opposite. And if they were to go and pull any bill, or if they were to go and pull any responsibility from a household, they will come up short by so much, immeasurably. So it's just like you telling a child, like, you're going to have cookies instead of fruit punch. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to have milk instead of water. They're going to always come back with some type of counter offer. They're always going to come back with something that doesn't make sense. And that's exactly what I told her. When someone decides that they're going to try to take from you, it's merely because, for one, in reality, it doesn't make sense. But in two, in the mental capacity of it all, you have to understand how attraction and attention works. Okay? Someone wants the attention that you attract. And whatever it is that you give off is what attracts people to you. So me being business minded, me being about school, me being about completing what I need to take care of and be able to elevate to my next level of ideas that I wanted to accomplish. Of course, this can intimidate any pill popping ass bitch. This can bother anybody who feels as if, like, between looks and, the longevity of them being where they were before I was there, they feel that's important. And that's not to me. What's important to me is what I need to do for me, not for the other person. I don't give a damn chick, man, children, or child. When I think about me. There's no other. No, that doesn't work. How am I going to focus on me but focus on you? That's just like me leaving but then waiting to find out and see. No, we not about to do that. So I gave her this. I went ahead, gave her a couple of points, but I also wrote some down too, because I honestly feel as if, like, this is something that we honestly need to address. Because though some people may mean no harm by coming off as if, like, they're not wanting conflict, some people take that as a threat. And then that's when the hating comes in, because though someone may feel as if, like, this person's coming in as innocent as a sheep, they don't understand how much of a shark they are. The only difference is they don't show it combatively physically. They show it mentally. The first thing I told her is this. The best, like, you got to think, the best dressed person in the room has a reputation. So that means people were looking far before they were talking about anything. So when I come around the corner and people are aware of my business mindset and my brand, before they care anything about what I look like or they care about what you bring to the table physically, you're going to automatically get their attention because there's a level of respect. Just like there's a time frame between 9 to 5 and 5 and 10 and 7 and 3 that people go to work. Well, guess what? If you were to go to a respectable adult and you were to say, well, look, I'm an honest man, you're an honest person, you put your pants on one leg at a time like I do, why can't we be reasonable and converse? It's the same thing when it comes down to how people look at other folks who respect their time of day. When they respect their time of day, they're not going to sit here and bullshit someone that has their attention. They're going to get right to the point. When have y'all ever met someone that's just going to bullshit you and say they're not trying to get in your drawers unless they're shy? And even then, at some point, you're going to loosen them up and it's going to come out. Regardless if it's physical or regardless if it's verbal, it's going to come out. Am I right or am I wrong? Y'all can put that below. But I know for damn sure, and two things for certain, when you decide to make a pattern and you stay consistent with it, with someone that's inconsistent, that's always going to agitate their demons. That's always going to make them mad towards their vices and want to take it out on you. That's because that person is not mentally mature enough for them to stand on their own 2 feet and realize where they've gone wrong and fix where they need to be right at. They take it out on you because you're an adult. Yeah, I made a video on that too. Make it make sense. Your issues are not my problems. But yet, people will try to compress that anger and put pressure on you and put it on you based on who's watching, just to get an interaction from you, not understanding that you're just merely entertaining until you can show up, until I can show up. If you can start a show without me, be my guest. But if it takes you having to talk me up for someone to be courageous enough to reach out and say something, talk and say something to me, just to see if they can temperature check exactly where you're coming from, baby, you're hanging with peasants. You're not hanging with kings. Kings are not going to expose your vulnerability to everybody else. They're going to protect it. So when people want to talk the talk and walk the walk, don't be mad at the person who don't know what's going on. Be mad at yourself because you do. And that's what I told her. So you got to understand, when you become the best dressed and the smartest in the room, it's going to attract people to you. It's going to attract to people wanting to know more about you, because guess what? There's something about you. There's an element about you where it's Amazon to everybody else on earth. It's hard to find because you don't normally see it. This is why people go to zoos and museums. It's not because something's trapped in cage. It's because at the end of the day, there's very few people in every category. Very few. That goes for the ones that are polite, courteous, understanding, being a gentleman, etc. Very, like they're commodities at this point, because they're hard to find. In today's time and society, people can't stand somebody that can open the door and say, have a nice day. It bothers them because you agitate their demons. It's real hard for you to get out of your shell when you're used to being nasty. That's how people are. And it says more about someone else if they're going to talk about you to people that they know damn well you converse with. So now you got to check your circle, because see, if you lousy enough to entertain, then we can't kick it. We can't, because we ain't the same bird. We don't flock together. Eagles soar alone. Kings and queens, they have their own poise group of people that they hang with. But nonetheless, that's a side conversation for Patreon. But let me help you understand how I deal with it on an adult level. For one, we don't deal with people. We don't put people around us. We don't put ourselves around people who have a negative energy, an energy that opposes to what it is that we're trying to accomplish. We don't hang around those people. We don't tolerate those people, and we don't entertain those people. Secondly, when it comes down to someone feeling as if like there's to be a conflict, well, the only way I've learned that you're able to distinguish if this person is being an adult or adolescent is by how they handle it. Because if you honestly as an adult have an issue with a grown adult, another adult, most adults will converse. They'll say, hey, let me pull you aside. Let's converse, chit chat. You know what I'm saying? Let's say what we need to say, and boom, move on. But if this person does not do that, well, you can't entertain children. They'll go find something else to play with. But you don't allow it to be something you are willing to tolerate. There's a way to handle everything. But when it comes down to how people see you and how you feel as if like it should affect you, let me be very clear about this. Again, some people are just the opening act to your life. It's just that time for you to come through and have your breakthrough, have your encore. Because really, that's what that is. You got to talk me down so much for me to really have to, you know, be there fair and square. Then so be it. That means it's your time to shine. Anything that's willing to try to bring you down is merely fertilizer to you growing up, to be bigger, to be better, to be stronger and better. If y'all know where I got that from, y'all all right with me. Y'all all right with me. But nonetheless, put that down below in the comments. If you know where I got that from, by all means, you are cool with me. Nonetheless, people like that, I applaud. It takes guts to be out here and being on the opposing side to go against whatever victory is meant for me. That takes guts. Because no matter what, I'm going to persevere. And I'm going to destroy anything that comes across that doesn't serve a purpose to the higher and for the better. So, like I told her, you only grow as high as you allow someone else to stunt your vibration and in your roots too. If you know who you are, there's no shadow of a doubt you should be bothered or worried about someone who doesn't know who they are. Because anytime someone's going to put in the effort and the energy to get to know who they are, they're not going to waste time entertaining or trying to beat down someone else. That's just not how power works. But for the ones who don't know what power is and they haven't experienced it yet, this is your first video. This is your awakening where you have a clear visual, multimedia visual of someone actually telling you, look, you grow your own roots. You don't tell someone else, and you can't, and someone cannot allow you to tell them which way and how way to grow. If that's too hard to understand, let me put it to you like this. You can't change other people, but you can change the direction on which way you want to walk. You can go into the negativity or you can come out of it and you can grow from it. Because every day that you walk into the sunset, another day is going to come where there's a sunrise. Are you going to allow the same thing to bother you another day, or are you actually going to rise above it? And a lot of times people try to come and take our spotlight, not because ours is too bright, because they wish they could burn just the same as many watts. But not everybody can take that type of heat. So they gonna feel some type of way. It burns different between, y'all tell me, I'm trying to tell you, a 60 watt and a 90 watt don't burn the same. One's hotter and one's cooler. So if one can't outburn the other, of course, they're going to be mad because that's poor sportsmanship. But that's not for you to strengthen for them. If they've made their life and they're mad at yours, you're on the right track if you ask me. Get the hell on, mind your business, and at the same time, let it be an example that some people can change and rise higher than their environment. It took me 7 years in a different state what it would took me 13 years back home to accomplish. And people, there's going to be some people who are not going to be for it, because you know why? That means I've grown 2 times as much as what another person would be if they were to apply the same pressure to their life to want to be resilient. But there's some people who are going to be survivors, there's some people who are going to be soldiers, and then there's some people who are going to be warriors. And then there's some people who are going to be the opening act to your life, having you understand that when you defeat the enemy, you stand firm in who you are. You don't allow someone else to tell you who you are. You know it. And then from there, you accomplish that. You gain that. and then you want to move on to something different. Now, this is what they known as a midlife crisis. But by that time frame, you just ready to relax and be peaceful. So, I'm telling you, just like I told her, don't sweat the bullshit. I've said this before in another video. A wise person once told me, you know what I'm saying, don't let shit get to you. Animal, reptile, mammal, amphibian, you name it. Don't let it get to you. You just continue to stay being focused. Because regardless if they're upset and burning with envy, if you burning with focus, you're always going to outdo them. Their hate and their issue. It is what it is. But y'all tell me down below if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Be sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I will see y'all on Thursday in our warrior community for our Tea Talk book club meeting. If you're interested in knowing more about that, you can find that down below. Or you can simply just go ahead and join our warrior community. Where on Thursday, February 4th, we will be having our first dream webinar. So, you have a business you're interested in growing, you have a passion that you're interested in making something bigger than life, by all means, sign up. Our first webinar is February 4th. I will be doing another webinar in February. That date is to be announced. So other than that, I hope everyone is doing well. Be fine. Wash your hands, including your thumbs, bitch. And I will see y'all later. Bye.